Hi and welcome to Galloway Lights. Today I'm going to be replacing the heavy cinder blocks with some fence posts. They were 6 foot long and I cut them in half. I even painted the tips yellow, just for the sake of it. I'm going to be using these U-bolts. They're just under 2 inches wide. And I'm going to pound the posts in the ground until these 2-inch unistrut rails are level. I'm going to use my impact wrench to tighten up the nuts. After the two ends are level, I'm going to tap down the center post until it lines with the rail. Now I'm going to use my bee box as a guide to see where the level spot is for the second rail and drive that post in place. And once that one is, I'm going to do the same for the other end and the middle. Now just the final adjustments. Getting everything just right. Tap here and a tap there. Now I'm going to put the bee boxes back in place. They're held together with these straps. Most of these are packages from this year, so they're really not that heavy yet. They have bees, but not a lot of nectar. This one says farm is actually one that was here last year for a couple of weeks near the end of the year, and it overwintered, and it's doing so-so. And those two packages there on the end are not doing so good. And I'm going to do that for the second rail. Now this rail is only 1 inch unistrut, and I was curious whether these posts would help this unistrut get a little bit more rigid if I stood it on end. Next time I'm going to go with the 2-inch unistrut. This 1 inch is just not quite strong enough. And don't be fooled. The top 2 boxes on there are actually empty. I'm just storing them on top of that hive. Well, now that that's done, I'm going to test the rails and see they kind of flex to the sides. Maybe if I put spacers in there, maybe it'll work better. Well, it's time to do some bee inspections. That's really what I'm here for. I'm going to light my smoker with my torch. I'm using pine straw, and it goes out periodically, so I just relight it. And this is package number 5. This is actually one of the best of the packages. So they got some eggs, and they got a little bit of this burr comb. I'm going to take this opportunity to remove this, allowing the bees to correct those mistakes. I'm saving all the burr comb on the upper lid cover. That way I can pick it up later and use it for re-waxing frames. Theoretically, if I do this now, it'll be better later. And there's more brood. And more of this burcomb. And more brood. This is an example of how the bees draw out the waxed plastic foundation if you put it in between drawn frames. I'm going to turn the frame around, and so the waxed part is toward the outside. Maybe they'll draw the other side now. Well, it's time to take a look at the second box down. That's a lot more bees. Use my smoker, gotta relight it again. More of this burcomb, and there's actually eggs in this one. And more drawn comb that they just started. And guess what we got here? The queen cup. But it's empty. More empty queen cups. I'm told that packages will do that all season long, trying to replace the queen. And there's more of the checkerboarding. And there's eggs in there. Fabulous. At least something is working according to the YouTube University that I've been watching all these years. More brood, and this one's a lot more capped. There's some of the larvae in there, those white pieces. They haven't been capped yet. And more capped brood. Outstanding. I've been pulling the brood up to the boxes that are empty, trying to encourage the bees to fill out the boxes with wax and all kinds of nectar. So far I have a column of bees in the center and empty boxes on the outsides. And this looks like some foundation from last year. And more eggs. And we have some more of these drone cups. I mean, swarm cups. They're still empty. So I guess this bringing the brood up and allowing the queen to have lots of room to lay is working, because they are not in swarm mode. More swarm cups. But I'm learning not to do too many at once with undrawn foundation in between the brood, because I have had them all dry out. And there's some pollen. I'd like to have that on the outside. And I'm going to put in one more frame of foundation for them to fill out. And I'm going to save this for the top box because it looks like there's a lot of nectar they're starting to store. So I'll try and get them into the practice of putting the nectar at the top. Whether it will work, I don't know. Well, she has plenty more place to lay. And this is the bottom box. And what is that? Yep, it's the queen. I'm going to take this opportunity to put her in a safe place. No sense in trying to chase her around anymore now that I know where she's at. And there's another queen cup. I think. Or is that the drone brood? I don't know. Well, now that she's out of there, I don't have to worry about squishing anybody. Ah, more brood. And that's one of those foundations I put in there, and they're filling it out. And more wonky comb. These don't want to get out of the way, do they? Let's see if we can fix this. It looks like we've already put wax on there in the path. And it looks like it's Premier Foundation. Well, why not? We'll just give it another third try. Maybe one of these days they'll draw it all out nice and pretty. I'm going to use some of my wax that I've processed from all this bird comb and stuff and rub it on the frames. One of these times this should work. I'll try number 3, I believe. I'm going to mark it so I remember when I did it last, just to see when it took. Looks like more brood. Yep, see, they're filling up the cells. And what's this? That is one big piece of wonky comb. Why did they do that? Well, let's see if we can fix this. It's hard to do this without squishing bees. They hide behind it. And there's not really a lot of space behind it, so that you really don't have a complete cell. So the backside is kind of useless. I don't understand. What's the point? There's a nice brood and a nice arch shape. And this one they're just starting to fill out. Maybe next time it'll be all drawn. There's another one that they started to draw the foundation out. Why they do it 2 little patterns, I'm not sure. I would think you would start in the center. Sometimes they do 3. More of these queen cups, but they're still empty. And she's got a lot of brood in there. And she's still got room to grow. Let's clean this one off too. Yeah. It happens. One got me. Well, now the question is, what do I do to change the way that they're doing things? Or do I just let them go? I think some of those foundation frames that they're drawing out will give them plenty of room to play. So I shouldn't have to worry about much swarming going on. Now in this top box, I'm going to bring up some of the resources to allow that queen some room in the bottom. But actually, later on, I'm going to take out 2 frames of captive brood, 1 frame of brood that's just starting out in its eggs and larvae, and 2 or actually 3 shakes of bees, and put them in hive number 4 who's struggling. And I'm going to put this wax back in here toward the other center of that other wax, and hopefully they'll draw it all out. And let the queen go back in. There she goes. Now I'm going to use this frame for that little piece of wonky comb because it has some brood on it. I'm going to dribble some of my wax that I've melted down and secure it right to the frame. But as you can see, I either didn't have enough or I didn't wait long enough for it to cool down and harden. And as you can see, it takes many attempts, but with lots of persistence, that comb will stick to that frame. I may have killed the queen, I may have killed all the brood in there using my torch, but at least the comb will stick. I gotta work on this technique somehow. It's not quite the easiest as I thought it would be. Well, that's it for now. We'll check out hive number 5 another day. Thanks for watching.